Hi everybody. So I'm here to talk today about something that's maybe like not super fun to talk about, but when I was going through this, I watched a lot of videos and like read a lot of forums and articles about infertility. So I wanted to share my story and my journey just in case it would help someone else. So starting from the very beginning, when I was like 15, I went on the pill, birth control, because I had such terrible menstrual cramps. I stayed on the pill for a long time till college. I think I switched to like the ring. I've kind of been all around. I did have an IUD for like 2.5 or 3 years after college. So my journey with infertility then specifically begins in January of 2016. So I had been married like 3 or 4 months, and we decided like eventually now we're gonna want kids, like relatively soon, because he has 5 nieces and nephews. I was, I think, 27 or 28 at the time, so I was like, sooner rather than later, I guess, wanted to start trying because I didn't know how long it would take. Part of me was like, you're always so scared of getting pregnant in high school and stuff. Not that I was like all over, but you know what I mean? Like your parents and the school drives it into you that like, if you touch a penis, you'll be pregnant. And so I think I was really nervous. And I just thought that like the second I stopped birth control, like we're gonna be pregnant, that's it. And so I went off of the IUD. Oh, actually no, I went off the IUD a few months before that, but was on the pill because, my doctor told me that once my IUD was out, it would take like 1.5 years to conceive. So I went off of it, I think before that, like the summer before. But I went off the pill then that January. So we weren't officially trying, but I definitely like wasn't tracking much. And we weren't really preventing much. Like we used condoms a little bit, but not that much. Just because it was like, if it happens, it's, we want this anyways, it's fine. The only thing we were like waiting for was our honeymoon that July. So my husband was like, let's officially start trying in July. So my cycles then were pretty weird. And the biggest questions I got from doctors were like, well, how were your cycles before you were on birth control? And since I was 15 and I'd been on birth controls of some sort that like the rest of my life, I didn't really know. So I was asking my sisters, asking my mom, and they were all like, well, we've been on birth control a long time too, so I don't know. So that first month of January, I had like a normal length cycle of 28 days. And then same thing, a little bit longer through February. And then in April, I spotted a little bit. May, I spotted a little bit. Then June is where things get really crazy. I don't have a period again until September. So in September, I had a lot of spotting on and off. And so like my biggest question, I was like, am I pregnant? Because I'm not getting a period. And so I took a lot of pregnancy tests. All of them were negative. So also at that time, I started like reading more about fertility and trying to figure out my cycle and what the heck was going on. So I think I'll get to that in a little bit. The biggest, like the toughest thing then was that November 10th it started, and I had a period as in like medium bleeding, light to medium, from November 10th until February 15th. During that time as well, I went in because I was like, I just need to stop bleeding. Like this is terrible. And my doctor put me on metformin because on and off doctors have been like, I think you have PCOS because you're overweight. And then they check for PCOS and they're like, oh, maybe you don't have it because there's no cysts. So it's frustrating because like, obviously I'm overweight. That doesn't mean that I have every overweight thing that people can get. The other big question with PCOS is like, do you have hair in like different places? And I was like, or, like extra coarse or like growing in your chin. And I was like, no. And they're like, I mean, before you remove it. And I was like, nope, I don't. Like, I'm sorry, I can't help you. So on and off doctors have been like, maybe PCOS, maybe not. And at some point somebody put it in my chart that I did. And I'm kind of frustrated because then other doctors are like, how's your PCOS? And I'm like, I'm not really sure that I have it because I don't have all the symptoms. I only have the overweight and like irregular cycles symptoms. I don't have other stuff. So anywho, after that February, I stopped bleeding, and then I didn't bleed again until the end of May. So it was a shorter cycle, but it was still really long. So end of May, I started bleeding again, and this is when I was getting really frustrated because like, in my head, I should have had a baby by now. You know, like we kind of thought we would try that summer before, and it was like in my head I built it up so much. And if you struggled with infertility, you know this. Every cycle, every day for some people, like for me, I wasn't having regular cycles, so it was like, maybe today I'm ovulating, like maybe today I'll get pregnant. And it was like, I played this game where if I get pregnant now, then I'll have the baby in May and I'll be having a bump at this conference I go to in February. You know, it was just, it's heartbreaking. It's a heartbreaking game you play with yourself. And so if you're doing that, try not to, because it's terrible, but also, how do you not? I mean, it's, yeah. So I bled throughout most of the summer, and the end of July I had like, so I was bleeding like light to medium all summer, and then end of July I had like really big period. It was terrible. It was really, really strong, and it sucked. So that summer we both decided that like we were gonna not further doctor. Already my mental health with infertility was very poor, to say the least. I was getting really emotional about not being able to conceive, and again, like playing it up in my head with having a May baby or having a summer baby, or maybe now I'll have an August baby, and it was just too painful. So we both decided that like we're okay without kids, and so I like applied for different jobs in cities like far away, and we decided to like purchase a new house here because the jobs just weren't quite right for me. So we put all of our money into our new house and spent the summer like, you know, moving and prepping and everything. So it was an exciting summer, and we decided, you know, we'd travel more, put money into that, but it still wasn't like a baby. You know, my doctor had told me like, if you want to keep trying, like I can make you ovulate. I can give you pills to make you ovulate and make you have a period, and like we can do it. We can make you have a baby. But knowing how poor my mental health was with just trying, I was like, I don't know that I can go down that road and be sane. You know, I feel like I would have been so invested that any failure would have like broken me a bit. So we decided to just stop trying, put our money into the house and travels. So at the end of August, we moved into our new house. School had just started for me, and a week into school starting, a week into our new house, I noticed some changes downstairs, and I was like, things are different. And I took the ovulation predictor kit, like the little test, and it was positive that I was ovulating. So we, you know, baby danced like every other day or a few days, I don't remember. And 2 weeks later, I had a positive pregnancy test. Like, it was insane. So we were very, very fortunate not to, you know, miscarry or have any issues with that. I was convinced that she was going to be such a dud because I was like, my old dusty eggs, you know, this is the first one I've ovulated in like 15 years or something, you know. So anyway, we are very fortunate to have a beautiful baby girl. But I'll go back into like fertility details now. So I think the worst thing for me was that IUD. I think it just really messed up my system and caused me to not ovulate. So I say that we were trying around like 1.5 to 2 years. I didn't ovulate for 1 year and 9 months. I think knowing now like how ovulation feels and the symptoms, I think I would have known if I ovulated because I was paying so close of attention to my body. The other things I was doing, so the ovulation predictor kits from Onefro, they're really cheap on Amazon. If you are trying, I highly suggest those. And you can also get like the kits with the pregnancy test as well from One-Fro, and they work, you know, they aren't faulty because they're cheap. They all work really well. But if you're somebody like me who wants to test a lot and doesn't want to pay for like the expensive ones at Target or Walmart every time, definitely do One-Fro from Amazon. So I was doing those a lot. I was peeing on a lot of sticks for that whole year, like from summer to summer basically, because I just didn't know if I was ovulating. I read Taking Charge of Your Fertility cover to cover. Cervical mucus is a huge indicator of what's going on with your body, and I know that that sounds really gross, but you need to learn your body, like get to know how things feel, and that includes your cervical mucus. So the best sign of fertility is your mucus. So clean your hands, put a finger or two, whatever, not your business, just like, you know, in there, but like not all the way, just in there a little bit, and then like rub your fingers. And if it looks kind of, they say like egg whites, but it'll be kind of like, kind of gooey, it'll be a bit gooey. If you just Google fertile cervical mucus, you can see lots of options, but I'm not going to show you anything like that because it's gross. But you can look at as much as you want or as little as you want. But you really do need to get to know your cervical mucus. It's so, so important. And I know that that's really gross to some people, but when you're trying to get pregnant, you don't care because you're peeing in cups and dipping sticks in them every morning anyway, so like you might as well put your finger up there. So cervical mucus is the best indicator, I think, of like when your fertile window is coming. So a friend of mine said when she was trying, she's like, we just had sex every other day for the whole month. And I was like, okay, maybe I could do that. And then I ended up going, you know, like 100 days without having a period. It did not last long, the every other day thing. If you're somebody who does have regular cycles, that is a really great way to get pregnant, because it means you're just probably missing your ovulation or your fertile window. So even though you get the nice egg white mucus, sometimes you don't ovulate till like after that, or sometimes it takes a few days, you know, for things to implant. And by the way, not a doctor, this is just my experience I'm sharing, so some details may be fuzzy, or you may be really knowledgeable on this and be like, girl, not quite. That's fine. The basics are here, but the details may be fuzzy. Definitely have sex like every other day until like after you get the sticky mucus, for at least like 3 or 4 different times over like every other day, just to cover all your bases, and hopefully something will get through. Obviously, if you have other fertility issues, you know, like men cause a lot of fertility issues, then go to a doctor, get a semen analysis, see what's going on there. If you're just somebody though who maybe has PCOS or maybe has normal cycles but hasn't been able to get pregnant, those are good tips if you haven't tried them yet. This is obviously not for everybody, because some people are going to be like, really, I've done all that and I'm not. Yeah, go to a doctor. They can help you way more than me. But I want to just share my experience because, again, because I was so helped by things like this. The other thing I did was temping. Now, I would not recommend this for everybody because it's exhausting and there's so much to it that I don't really know. So you taking your basal body temp is like from the second you wake up, you take your temperature and mark it down before you move, before you do anything, because the second you move or get up or whatever, it increases. So I did that for a while, but found out that like, hey, you're not ovulating, nothing's happening. So that was frustrating. Because if you have normal cycles and are trying to pinpoint like when you ovulate and if you get pregnant after that, your temp can tell you that, but you have to track it for a few cycles to like figure out your norm. And so that wasn't working for me, obviously, because I was having such irregular cycles. I will say after having my baby last May, so May of 2018, my cycles have like started to become regular. So they're now about 48 days regular. The other thing that helped me like right now is we just started trying to get pregnant again, and I've now had 2 cycles. The first one, we started doing like a diet because I'm trying to lose weight. And I noticed that it took me longer to ovulate. So it took like closer to 68, 67 days, which is really frustrating because I was like regular 48, which is already long enough. That's like a double cycle. You know, I wanted, or close to a double cycle. I really wanted my cycle shorter rather than longer. So I stopped that diet. And then I drank the Pink Stork fertility tea from Target and the fertility from Amazon, and some red raspberry leaf tea in there as well, because red raspberry leaf tea is good for like uterine strength. So the one with the best taste though is the Pink Stork. It's also the most expensive from Target. You get it like in the fertility pregnancy test aisle area. But theirs has like a sweet peppermint in there, so it tastes better than the other ones. And then the fertility from Amazon comes in loose leaf form, so you have to like buy tea bags to do it. I wouldn't suggest using like, just use a tea bag. Otherwise it gets like the little leaf particles all over. I can't do that. I started drinking about 2 cups of those a day, and it shortened my cycle to a regular cycle length. So, and I ovulated, I did. So I would definitely recommend that if you're somebody who has a longer cycle that wants to shorten it. I know it sounds so silly drinking a tea, but it worked for me. So I'm definitely going to continue that as we work on this fertility journey. So to continue, I guess, this series, I'm going to update on like what I'm going through right now. And also if and when we get pregnant, I'll try to do like the weekly updates of like how week 4 has gone, week 5, because those were helpful to me, especially in the very beginning when things are so new, just to see other people going through all of that. So I would love to talk about my baby and everything with that, but this is not the video for that. So please do let me know if you have questions down below, or if you've gone through something similar. There are surprisingly a lot of us who've dealt with infertility. And out of my personal friends that have dealt with infertility lately, all of them have gotten pregnant. So that's really, really exciting. Because my heart just like goes out to people who struggle. Just know that the chances are you will get pregnant, you know, with the right doctors, with the right help, with the right work and timing, chances are you will get pregnant. So, thank you so much for watching. Please, please talk to me down below. Tell me what you're going through. I'd love to help in any way I can. Bye.